yeah, I'm 10, 12 years in, I got 4 MVPs and 4 championships. Like, but do I still want to do this shit? You know what I'm saying?
You know how hard it is.
Some people say, I want to go play baseball.
And you think it's funny?
And then I want to come back. Well, some people say, I'm going to go 22 straight. And, you know what I'm saying? So it's a contract I feel like you got to have with yourself, too, in order for you to be a, you know, great.
You know, there's no turn it on here, turn it off here. It's just 110% at all times. So, you know, if I burn out, I burn out.
Pierce had it poked away, stolen by Jordan. Lojas down on the floor. It's loose to Humphries. 4 to shoot. Humphries 3.
You like the idea of Jordan coming up with the steal.
Oh, look at that. The 40-year-old dives to the hardwood.
Artis Gilmore told me one time, he played for Chicago, he said, if you expect to play a long time in this league, you better quit mopping up the floor. And I thought, well, he's crazy because that's what basketball is all about.
Bird takes it away from Wilkins, goes to the floor and gets it. Gets it up ahead.
Charles Barkley just let loose the kind of truth every old school NBA legend has been quietly holding on to for years. And LeBron James is definitely not going to enjoy this on live TV in front of the entire world. Barkley locked his eyes on the camera and delivered a statement that froze the whole room. He said Kevin Durant has absolutely no place in the GOAT conversation, not even close. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. This wasn't about stats, rings, or skill level. This was about straight up respect. And after what LeBron and KD recently did on their podcast, they're about to find out what happens when you laugh at the wrong legend. Picture it, LeBron James and Steve Nash hosting their podcast Mind the Game, bringing on huge basketball names to break down the sport and share behind-the-scenes stories. Everything looked calm, relaxed, all jokes and memories, until the conversation suddenly shifted to what it really takes to stay great in the league for a long stretch. Kevin's a great player, no question, but the tension started creeping in the moment they began comparing how different guys handle pressure and longevity.
Kevin's a great player. I think that his legacy is complicated. You know, I don't like any guys who join super teams. I'm biased against LeBron when it comes to comparing him to Michael, joining Dwayne and those guys. Because, you know, when we had this debate, and LeBron's amazing and spectacular, but I was like, Michael didn't join anybody. He just kept getting his ass kicked and got bigger and got stronger and finally knocked the wall down. And, you know, Kevin, who's a great player, you know, other than the fact when he joined the Warriors, he hasn't been successful anywhere else. And I don't hold that against him, but he wants to be considered in that list. He's not on that list. He's not on that list. He's a great, great player, but he's not on that list. He wants to be like, wow, he's not in a GOAT conversation because you're not, plain and simple.
Damn.
You had great success when you joined the Warriors, but not only did you not have success, you actually flamed out in those other places. You got swept last year in the playoffs. You didn't even make the play-in this year.
Durant starts talking about the mental grind, the focus, the pressure, the moments when you seriously wonder if you've got enough energy left to keep pushing. Then out of nowhere, KD drops a line that sends the whole room into laughter. He says, some people say, I want to go play baseball and then come back. Others want to go 22 straight years. LeBron instantly cracks up like he just heard the wildest joke ever. And everyone watching knew exactly who KD was pointing at. Michael Jordan. Yes, that MJ, the legend who dominated the league, stacked up 3 straight titles, then stunned the entire world by stepping away to play baseball, only to return and collect another 3 rings. Durant was clearly throwing a slick jab at MJ for stepping away, while boosting LeBron for grinding through 22 seasons with no breaks at all. But here's where everything gets messy. Michael Jordan didn't walk away because he was bored or looking for some random hobby. In 1993, MJ was sitting at the absolute peak of his power, running the league in a way nobody had ever seen. He had just completed a three-peat, something only a tiny handful of teams in NBA history have ever accomplished. Then the early 90s rolled into the early 2000s, and the pressure on MJ's personal life, family, and legacy was becoming heavier than people realized. Then something happened to Michael Jordan that hit him harder than anything he ever faced on the court. His father, James Jordan, lost his life in a tragic situation no family should ever experience.
Years ago, shit, I was in the league. I thought you were about to say some shit about the 90s.
Only one of us was in the
down with the 90s. That 90s bled into the early 2000s.
This wasn't just his dad. This was his closest friend, his mentor, the person who believed in him before the world even knew his name. The kind of pain Jordan carried during that time is something most people can't even imagine. So when he stepped away from basketball and chose to play minor league baseball, he wasn't running from pressure or avoiding competition. He was honoring his father's memory in the most personal way possible. Baseball was his father's favorite sport, the dream he once hoped Michael would chase professionally. Every swing Jordan took, every practice he showed up to, every single moment out there on the field, it was all for his father. And now here comes Kevin Durant on a podcast turning one of the most emotional chapters in sports history into a quick joke. Fans instantly reacted. Social media exploded with people calling the comment cold and disrespectful toward everything Jordan went through during that period. But here's the wild part. This wasn't even the first time LeBron threw a quiet jab at Michael Jordan and the era he dominated. A while back, LeBron dropped another comment that made fans look sideways. He said, "We done with the 90s." And that line set off alarm bells everywhere. The 90s were the decade that shaped basketball greatness, the era Jordan completely owned, the era that transformed the NBA into a global powerhouse. So when LeBron said, "We done with the 90s," it sounded like he was trying to erase that whole era and shift the story so that greatness starts with his generation instead. Instead of letting his game speak loud on its own, LeBron started trying to reshape the entire story of NBA history, making it seem like the legends before him weren't as impressive as fans remember. And that's exactly where Charles Barkley finally stepped in. Chuck has been watching this wave of disrespect grow for years, seeing players brush off the 90s, act like Jordan's competition wasn't serious, and pretend the game back then was somehow softer than today's NBA. He eventually hit his breaking point on national TV during a segment about Kevin Durant's legacy. Barkley snapped in a way that caught everyone off guard. When the host asked him where KD ranks among the all-time greats, especially after the struggles in Phoenix, Barkley didn't hold back at all. "Kevin's a great player," he started. "I think his legacy's complicated." Then Chuck dropped the hammer with zero hesitation. "I don't like any guys who join super teams," and he didn't stop there. He added, "I'm biased against LeBron when it comes to comparing him to Michael. Michael didn't join anybody. He just kept getting his tail kicked, got bigger, got stronger, and finally knocked the wall down." That line stunned the whole studio because it exposed the real difference between how Jordan chased greatness versus how LeBron and Durant tried to create shortcuts through stacked teams. Jordan was drafted by the Chicago Bulls and stayed through some of the toughest years of his entire career. He went up against the bad boy Detroit Pistons, one of the most physical and dominant squads the league had ever seen, and they overpowered him 3 straight years. Jordan didn't run, didn't team up, didn't hop around. He took every hit, kept building himself up, and came back stronger every season. But Jordan didn't run from anything. He went straight back to the gym, rebuilt his body, pushed himself harder than ever, and eventually smashed through that wall like a force nobody could stop. And Barkley still wasn't done. He shifted his attention straight toward Durant next, ready to call things exactly how he sees them. Then before the segment rolled on, he dropped a quick request. "Do me one quick favor. It takes just a few seconds to subscribe, and it really means a lot to me." That moment popped up fast, but once it passed, Barkley went right back to the heat. "Kevin's a great player," he said, and nobody disputes that. But when Barkley added, "Other than when he joined the Warriors, he hasn't been successful anywhere else," the whole room froze. That line hit different because there was real truth behind it. Think about Durant's entire journey. He spent years in Oklahoma City, came incredibly close to reaching the top, but always landed just short. Then in 2016, he made one of the most surprising decisions in sports history. He joined the Golden State Warriors, a team that had just won 73 games and had literally defeated him in the playoffs. The Warriors already had a ring, already had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. That team didn't need Durant to be champions, and everybody knew it. And ever since leaving Golden State, Barkley laid the cold reality out live on TV. "You got swept last year in the playoffs. You didn't make the play-in this year." He was calling out KD's time with the Phoenix Suns because after all the hype, after adding Bradley Beal and Devin Booker to create another so-called super team, the Suns got overwhelmed and sent home in the first round of the 2024 playoffs. Then in 2025, Phoenix didn't even get close to the postseason. And before that, Durant was in Brooklyn trying to build another powerhouse with James Harden and Kyrie Irving. And that team fell apart too. The pattern is sitting right there in plain sight. When Durant joins elite squads that are already winning, he looks unstoppable. But when he's supposed to be the one leading a team to greatness, everything suddenly falls apart. Barkley's final verdict was harsh, but honest. He wants to be in the GOAT conversation. You are not, plain and simple. That line shook the entire debate because Chuck wasn't joking. He was pointing directly at the gap between what Durant wants and what he's actually accomplished. Now here's the real million-dollar question. Why are LeBron James and Kevin Durant, two players who have done incredible things in their careers, still so stressed about Michael Jordan's legacy? LeBron has been living in MJ's shadow from the second he entered the league. He was labeled the chosen one, the guy who was supposed to pass Michael Jordan, and for a moment, it looked like he might actually do it. But as the years kept rolling, the same problem kept returning. No matter what LeBron achieved, Jordan had already done it at a higher level. 6 championships for MJ compared to LeBron's 4. A perfect 6-for-6 finals record versus LeBron's 4 wins and 6 losses. 10 scoring titles for Jordan versus just 1 for LeBron. Every time LeBron gains ground in one category, MJ is still standing way ahead in another. Kevin Durant's story is different, but just as tough. His talent is unbelievable, but the comparisons get messy when you stack achievements, leadership, and legacy next to the standard that Jordan set. KD is one of the smoothest scorers the league has ever seen. Pure skill, pure talent, the kind of player who makes tough shots look easy. But even with all that greatness, he never got the same love other superstars received. And everyone knows exactly why. His path to the top felt questionable the moment he joined the Warriors. Fans felt let down, and even though he collected 2 championships and 2 finals MVPs, people still placed an invisible asterisk next to his name. And deep down, Durant feels that sting. He knows that when fans and analysts build those all-time lists, he's not being placed next to Jordan, Kobe, or even Steph Curry. So what does KD do? He tries to push Jordan down just a bit, hoping it lifts him up. But Charles Barkley saw the move instantly and called it out without hesitation. And Barkley didn't stop there. He dropped a warning nobody expected. He said the backlash is coming. And here's the irony behind everything LeBron and KD are doing. By creating a culture where players feel comfortable disrespecting the legends who came before them, they're setting themselves up for the exact same treatment. One day, LeBron and KD will retire. And when that moment arrives, a new generation of players and fans will step in. A generation that didn't grow up watching them in their prime. A generation with 0 emotional attachment. These younger fans won't feel the moments, the energy, the iconic nights current fans experienced. They'll just see numbers, missteps, and tough games on paper. And those same young voices will flip the script and say the same thing LeBron is saying about Jordan today. They'll look at the history books and say, LeBron wasn't that great. They'll say, he played in a weak era. They'll call him out for forming super teams. And that right there is exactly what Barkley was warning everybody about. He wasn't just defending Michael Jordan, he was defending the entire foundation of basketball history. His message couldn't have been clearer. You don't get to rewrite the past just because it doesn't fit the story you want to push. You don't get to tear down the legends who built this whole sport just to make your own resume look cleaner, because the moment you start doing that, the same disrespect eventually circles back to you, and when it hits hard. The cycle always comes back around, and there's something else going on with LeBron lately that makes this whole situation even more interesting. His approach has shifted in a way that feels like he's more focused on controlling the narrative around himself than actually focusing on hooping. He launched a podcast where he can shape how people talk about him. He constantly calls himself the GOAT instead of letting fans and history make that call. And he keeps talking about not having enough help, even though he played with stars like Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, Anthony Davis, and a long list of all-stars throughout his career. All of this makes him look like someone who's stressing about his legacy, someone who's worried about how people will talk about him when he's done playing. And moments like laughing about a painful chapter in Michael Jordan's life do real damage. When you turn a legend's personal struggle into a quick joke, when you turn someone's darkest chapter into a punchline, people remember. It slowly chips away at the respect you spent your whole career trying to earn. So let's break down why the 90s deserve real respect, because that's the heart of this whole situation. The 90s weren't just about Michael Jordan, even though he was the undisputed king of the era. It was Karl Malone and John Stockton grinding year after year, chasing that trophy with relentless focus. It was Hakeem Olajuwon owning the paint every single night.
It was Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller, and a wave of Hall of Famers pushing each other to reach new levels of greatness. The competition back then was straight up intense. Hand-checking was allowed, which meant perimeter players had to fight twice as hard just to get one clean shot. Defenders could get physical in ways that would trigger instant flagrant fouls in today's NBA. And there was no load management either. Nobody took nights off just because they felt tired. Players showed up every single game, pushing through injuries that would have modern stars sitting out for weeks. And through all of that, Michael Jordan still dominated, without ever forming a super team. He didn't call up rivals asking to join forces. He didn't team hop to stack the deck. He faced the toughest competition of his time, lined them up, and beat them. That's the difference. That's why his legacy sits on a level so high that nobody has been able to reach it. And then Charles Barkley dropped a stat that completely cracks open the whole LeBron versus Jordan debate. LeBron has played in 559 games where he scored 30 or more points. And yeah, that number sounds impressive. But here's the punchline. Michael Jordan played in 562 games with 30-plus points. And here's the wild part. LeBron has played 8 more seasons than MJ. 8. That's nearly a full decade of extra chances to stack those high-scoring nights, and he still didn't pass Jordan. MJ averaged 30.1 points per game for his entire career, while LeBron sits around 27. Jordan stepped on the court ready to score, ready to attack, ready to break the other team's confidence every single night. And you can't forget the biggest flex of them all, Jordan's perfect finals record. 6 trips to the championship, 6 wins, 6 finals MVPs. That's not luck. That's pure dominance at the highest level. LeBron has reached the finals 10 times, which is an amazing accomplishment, but he's only won 4 of those series. The other 6 losses? Every single one makes the GOAT debate even tougher for him. So when you stack all of this together, it becomes clear why Charles Barkley came at LeBron and Kevin Durant the way he did. It wasn't personal. It was about protecting the truth. It was about making sure the history of the game doesn't get twisted just to boost somebody's image or make their career look cleaner. Barkley's message to LeBron and KD was crystal clear. You are great players, but you are not Michael Jordan. And if they keep trying to push MJ down hoping it lifts them up, it's going to backfire in a major way. What's wild is how easily this entire situation could have been avoided. All Durant had to do was praise LeBron's longevity without turning it into a jab at Jordan. But once he crossed that line, everything exploded. None of this would have even happened if LeBron had stepped in with some awareness and said, "Hold on, let's not disrespect MJ like that." That one moment would have made him look like the bigger man. But instead, both he and KD rolled with the joke, laughing like they just dropped the boldest take the league had ever heard. And now they're dealing with the fallout. Here's the real truth. LeBron and KD need to accept that the GOAT debate isn't about who lasted the longest or who piled up the most total points. It's about who was the most dominant, the most reliable, the most unstoppable when everything was on the line. It's about how you carried yourself, with respect for the game and respect for the legends who built the foundation before you. And in all those lanes, Michael Jordan still sits at the top. That doesn't mean LeBron and Durant aren't legendary. They absolutely are. But they're not Jordan, and the sooner they accept that, the smoother everything becomes. Charles Barkley's entire reaction wasn't just about one podcast joke. It was years of frustration finally boiling over. This was a Hall of Famer who went up against Jordan, someone who knows exactly what true greatness looks like, stepping up and saying, "Enough is enough. You don't get to rewrite history. You don't get to mock the legends. You don't get to twist the story just to feel better about where you sit on the all-time list." The basketball world needed this moment. It needed someone with Barkley's credibility and fearless attitude to finally speak on what's been happening. Because if this trend keeps rolling, if every new generation starts tearing down the legends before them just to make themselves look bigger, the sport loses a piece of its soul. Basketball has always been built on respect. It's built on honoring the players who shaped the game and carried it to new levels decade after decade. So the big question now is this: what happens next? Will LeBron and KD clap back? Will they defend themselves publicly? Or will they stay quiet and hope the storm fades away? One thing is already clear: the damage is done. The whole conversation around respect and legacy just shifted in a major way, and Charles Barkley reminded the world that there are still people willing to stand up for the real history of this sport, even if it makes today's stars uncomfortable. When it comes to respect, legacy, and what it truly means to be the greatest, Michael Jordan is still untouchable, and no podcast joke is ever going to change that. If you love the real history of this game and want more raw breakdowns that cut through all the noise, take 2 seconds and hit that like, subscribe, and share button. It means a lot to me and helps keep this channel growing. And drop a comment too. Do you think LeBron and KD crossed the line, or was it just competitive talk between stars? Let's get into it. This whole conversation is just heating up, and the shift is already shocking the entire basketball world. Charles Barkley reminded everyone that there are still people willing to stand up for the real history of this game, even if it makes today's stars uncomfortable. When it comes to respect, legacy, and what it truly means to be the greatest, Michael Jordan is still untouchable, and no podcast joke is ever going to change that. If you love the real history behind this sport and want more raw breakdowns that cut straight through the noise, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and share button. It only takes a second, and it truly helps the channel keep growing. And drop a comment too. Do you think LeBron and KD crossed the line, or was it just competitive talk between big-name stars trying to make a point? This debate is far from over, and we're only getting started. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next video.